Hey everyone, we are on the tail end of the third week of the January Pantry Challenge. That's almost hard to believe, isn't it? But I feel like I need to get in my fridge and pull some things out that I know are probably getting ready to expire, that need to be used up before they go bad. And I've got a few ideas of where I want to go with it, meal prepping wise. So I thought I'd take you along with me and show you what I'm up to. Let's get in here and wrestle in the refrigerator, see what we can come up with that needs using up. I know I want to start on a couple of dairy products. This yogurt's been riding in here since around Thanksgiving with this cottage cheese. I don't think I've even opened it. I happened to watch a C Mini Mom video yesterday that reminded me I had a bunch of bacon in here that I cooked up last weekend. And some of this Parmesan cheese. I made this chicken curry earlier in the week for meal prep. All of the produce that I bought at Sprouts on clearance. That stuff's at least 2 weeks old. So I restocked on the broccoli today, so I know it's good. Peppers were the last from my garden. These zucchinis have been in here at least 2 weeks. Oh boy, look at these sad limes and whatnot. Oh, you guys. Ugh. Ugh. I really got to clean that drawer out. He's relatively fresh, and I think I'll try to use up peppers in the freezer instead of that guy. I have half a block of cream cheese that needs to get used up. This is the dressing and some bacon bits from a salad kit. I'm going to have a look-see at the expiration date on a couple of things in here. Bought this before the holiday. Let's see what this guy has to say for itself. 11.25. I think I'm going to boil that down. I bought it to make apple cider donuts because you have to reduce it to make the donuts. And I'll probably have enough to make 3 batches. Just throw the reduced cider in the fridge. And then I've had this juice in here forever. I'm thinking that's months expired. Let's see. December 3rd. And I was curious on this almond milk. I don't use it very often. Oh, it expires today. I don't know if you can freeze almond milk. If you saw my freezer inventory video, you may recognize my meats bits and bites bin and my veggie bits and bites bin. I'm not going to have you guys go through all this with me. I just wanted to show you there's still stuff full in spite of pulling a few things out of there over the last 2 weeks. I'm going to pull a few things out, and then I'll show you everything group by meals that I've got planned. All right, now we're going to do a little assessing of the usability of these 4 items. This kohlrabi slaw, if you saw that video, it said it was good until January 10th. So this stuff holds up pretty well, but it looks a little discolored in the package. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to bother trying to use this, but it's discolored enough. I only paid 25 cents for this, but I love that stuff. And hopefully I can get some on clearance next weekend. But because this isn't looking usable, I got to think about how I want to do my meal prepping for the week at work. Now this big tub, huge thing, I got that for 99 cents. This lettuce looks usable. Like it's going to be good for at least 2 days, maybe 3. So I'll try to get a salad made out of that on Monday for work if it's still good. And I'll use this dressing that I have. Cottage cheese. I buy this namely to make protein breads, dilly bread. I have a video that I put up, gosh, I think about a year ago. It's my great-grandmother's recipe. She's from Germany. Look at that old-timey handwriting. So let's check this out. It says it expired November 13th. I've never opened it because I ended up so sick all through the first half of December. Oh, yeah, that looks perfect. Don't see a thing wrong with it. Let me give it the smell test. Smells fine. So we're going to make some dilly bread with half of that. And I think I'll freeze the other half because I'd like to make some more veggie lasagna down the road. Now this plain Greek yogurt, I'm going to use it to make some pistachio protein muffins. It expired the end of November. It looks perfectly fine. So these are still usable. Here's a list of all of the things I pulled from the fridge, freezer, and pantry. I'm really glad to be using all of this up. I've got a little game plan here. I'm going to make pasta carbonara because I saw a C Mindy Mom video yesterday. It was serendipitous because literally 5 minutes before I started watching her video and realized I still had a bunch of bacon left over from when I made that chicken corn chowder. And C Mindy Mom made her pasta carbonara, basically chopped bacon. She used 6 eggs for her family of 5, so I'll probably use just 2. And then she didn't put peas in hers, but I'm going to put a few peas in mine. And if you've been following my channel, you may have seen a public shopping haul where I got several boxes of this pasta literally for free. I actually got paid 10 cents to buy it. So I'll probably use about half that box because I'm just cooking for me, not trying to throw food out. I've got Parmesan cheese, which she used in hers, and I might use a little bit of this cream cheese just to make it a little creamier. So that's one dish. And then another dish for meal prepping for the next few days. I've got a bunch of this bourbon salmon, and again, you know, got it on such a great deal. I got this asparagus, onions, and mushrooms for 99 cents. So that'll be a little side dish. And then today I had to do an Aldi run because I was completely out of cream. So I got cream, a package of broccoli, and I just like to, for fun, look and see if there's anything on clearance. And there were 2 packages of this pre-seasoned teriyaki chicken that expired yesterday. They did not have a markdown sticker on them. I really never buy this kind of thing because it's so much more expensive than just buying the raw chicken and seasoning it yourself. But because these were stale dated, but they're vacuum sealed, so I think they'll be just fine. I asked the manager if she would mark them down, and she said 75% off. So this package was $8, so that took it down to $2, 1.38 pounds. And the other package is a little bigger. It comes to 3 pounds for right at about $4.50. And I know we're on a pantry challenge, but I don't have anything like this in my freezer. It was such a great deal. I decided to go ahead because Marlene at Snow Gardener has a great strategy in her video this week. She suggests that during our January, February pantry challenges, in addition to our weekly budget, we set aside a small monthly budget for great deals that come along for staples we're not overstocked on. With the broccoli, the cream, and these 2 packages of chicken, it came to about $12 is all at Aldi. So I'm still under my allotment that I set myself. I did not go shopping at all last weekend. So I am on plan. And now let's just talk about what we're doing with the food. So the teriyaki chicken is going to go in the oven. I'm going to bake that tonight because it is backdated. And the other one I have already put in the freezer. And then these vegetable medleys, I got those for 25 cents, you know, several videos ago. So I'm going to throw a little onion in with it, this green pepper, and just do some roasted veg. So that'll be a meal prep Monday and Tuesday for taking to work with some salad on the side. I'm going to make harvest chili again. It's supposed to be fairly cool here starting tomorrow for the next 3 days. So that's chilly weather in Florida. You know, this is some ground beef that I need to use up, chipotle chili and adobo sauce. And then these are little red onion out. And then I'm going to throw a can of beans and tomatoes and zucchini that I got 2 weeks ago at Aldi. It looks terrific and fresh still. So I'm going to use a couple of those. These little peppers that were from my garden before I tore everything out last weekend. A little bit of chopped onion and celery. I'm going to cook some of these lentils, some of this bacon, and make some what I call zucchini cassoulet. I did a video on that a while back, and I'll link that down below. And if you saw my freezer inventory, you know I have a bunch of frozen fruit in there. I have 2 bags of blueberries, and I think I might make some blueberry bread pudding. I bought this bread right before Thanksgiving. It's been in my freezer the whole time, and I haven't had bread pudding in years. And then I've got this sugar-free pistachio pudding and this bag of pistachios, which expired last month, but I taste tested these. They taste fine. And I'm going to try making some pistachio protein muffins using some of that plain vanilla yogurt up. This quiche Lorraine mix, that's enough to make probably 3 little mini quiches, and I'll just do crustless quiches. Then I've got a couple patties of like a veggie sausage there. Use some of that to make the bread pudding. And the rest I'll probably freeze in an ice cube tray. I gave it the smell test, the taste test, and the is it globby seems to be fine. And I might make up some chia seed puddings as well. That'll use up about 2 cups of it. For the chili, and then this is one of the 4 pumpkins that I have left. I bought 2 pumpkins this size and made that video, and I did manage to eat an entire pumpkin in October. And then I also bought 2 sugar pumpkins, which I used up. And then I never got around to eating this guy. So I'm going to cut him up and see if he's still usable. If not, not the end of the world. The tip still looks a little green. Isn't that surprising? And then this heirloom pumpkin, I'm going to cut him up. Don't know if he's usable, but a lot is going to end up in the freezer, and that is not upsetting to me. I love my pumpkin. So we'll see how that looks. I'll cut it up and let you know. And then I've got these 6 wrinkly apples that I'm going to chop these up along with a few of these, enough to fill this big plate. Bake them in the oven. So that's the game plan on all of this, and I am going to get with it and get some cooking done. It's going to be nice and cool this weekend. I don't think I'm going to attempt to do everything I have in mind all at once. Maybe bang out this tonight. I'll probably do the pasta carbonara tomorrow. Alright, so I've got my cooked pasta here in the pan, keeping it warm. I should have had these eggs whipped up ahead of time, but it'll all be okay. And see, Mindy Mom said her trick to making pasta carbonara is to add the shredded parm to her eggs before she puts this the egg mixture in the pan with the noodles. And she did not put cream cheese in hers, but I'm going to for the sake of using this up a little bit. I've still got 2 ounces left there. So I'm gonna, drop it on the stove first, and then I'm going to chop this up in smaller bits. This was softened to room temperature before I put it in there. What we can do here with getting this cheese to melt a little bit, this burner is still warm from cooking the noodles on it. Now officially, pasta carbonara is just the noodles, the bacon, the eggs, and Parmesan, and maybe a little garlic, salt, and pepper. I am going to add some minced garlic to this, as well as some roasted garlic powder, because I like things to be very garlicky since it's so good for us. Okay, that cheese is really nicely melted. Now I'm going to add this egg mixture. That was 2 eggs and about 1/4 cup of Parmesan. Obviously you could go heavier on the parm, but I used a little bit of that cream cheese. So I went easier on the parm, and that way I didn't have to grate anymore. Yeah, I'm trying to use things up this weekend, which I'm not actually cooking per se, but because the burner's still hot, or, you know, warm enough I wouldn't want to sit on it. I am gonna put this lid on here for just a second and let that egg kind of quasi-cook. While I say this dish is one I have never made before, I don't think I've ever seen anybody make it in person. My goal for the overall pantry challenge and just getting back into the kitchen in the new year is to try a new dish every week. So I'm excited to try it. Seems like one of those you can't really screw up. I am also trying for the first time the pistachio muffins. So that makes 2 new ones this week. Now I'm going to throw in the bacon and the peas, both of which add protein, of course. The cream cheese, not so much, and I kind of regretted after the fact I'd already put the other half of that carton of cottage cheese in a bag in the freezer. Otherwise, I would have used about 1/4 cup of that instead of the cream cheese, because that would have had a higher protein content, but maybe next time, right? So I think that's just about the perfect amount of peas. I could add a little more bacon because I do have a few slices in there. I think this is sufficient, and that way I'll have plenty of bacon for my lentil cassoulet that I'll probably make tomorrow. I had reserved, just in case, a little of the pasta water. This doesn't look like it needs it. It looks pretty darn creamy. I don't know if that's coming across on camera, but I'm gonna add maybe about a tablespoon, because you know how pasta is, it tends to absorb liquid. Now I'm gonna add some flaked salt because this has such a good flavor. I don't know what it is about the flaked salt that tastes so different. Some roasted garlic, probably about a teaspoon, and some cracked pepper. Give it another stir and we'll call this done. Oh yeah, that is so nice. Thank you, C Mindy Mom, for inspiring me to make this dish. That's about 2 servings worth. I'm so glad I was able not to overcook for once when it comes to pasta. And then in between watching the playoff games, I'll get to making all this other stuff for my meal prep. Here's my little menu board for the upcoming week. I work from home on Fridays, so I always kind of start doing my meal planning on Fridays, because then I have the time to cook for, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then eat on whatever I've made through the rest of the work week. That's why I don't have anything here, because these will all flow. So far in January, I've spent $76 on food, $96 on pet food. And I know that seems really high, but I was gone for 2 weeks in December and I had to restock. I also had to dump and refill the cat litter. That was about 20 bucks in cat litter. And then I had to spend $57 on household because I was down to 2 rolls of toilet paper and 1 roll of paper towels when I got home. For my no spend, I'm really just focusing on food and not buying anything that is not absolutely necessary for the house. And I am going to get with it and get to prepping all this food. So I was digging around in the refrigerator a little more this morning and discovered I had 2 cans of these crescent rolls that I got on sale hiding in the very back of the refrigerator. These things expired in October. I've got this cream cheese that needs to be used up, this pumpkin butter, so I decided to turn it into delicious breakfast to eat with my egg bites, with a little bit of extras left over for the rest of the week. So I've got about 12 ounces of ground beef in here. So I'm going to brown this, then I'm going to add the pumpkin and onions that I sauteed to kind of a crisp tender, tomato sauce, the beans, the seasoning, and the chipotle and adobo sauce. I'm making good progress on my list and loving cooking in this cool weather. Only 3 things to go. Lentil bacon cassoulet, which has now turned into black-eyed pea cassoulet because that half bag of lentils, I cooked them and they tasted off to me. So I'm going to try it with the black-eyed peas for the first time ever. Aside from the pumpkin, to me, the thing that really makes the flavor in this chili are the chipotles and adobo sauce. It calls for 3, so that's what I put in there. And I still have 3 left out of that can that I opened in November. It also calls for 5 different spices. I'll put a list up here. Plus 3 cloves of garlic, a cup of beef stock, which I never have on hand, so I just throw a bouillon cube in there. And last but not least, it calls for a bottle of pumpkin ale. I do not have pumpkin ale because it's January, but I have Yingling, so it's going in. I'm going to stir this up, let it simmer for about 30 minutes. And here's a look at the finished chili. You guys, this tastes so good. And I like that the pumpkin breaks down. I had to smash up a few of the cubes, but basically you'll get just small bites of pumpkin and the rest kind of thicken the chili. So here's my chopped up pumpkin. I put about 1 bag's worth in the chili already. Here are the pistachio muffins. I haven't tried one yet. Now I use a pudding mix. Not quite all of it, but most of it. Which again, this is a hybrid recipe that I kind of jimmy rigged. The real recipe did not call for pudding mix, so this ended up taking about 10-12 minutes longer to cut this baby open and see what it tastes like. The recipe calls for whole wheat flour, oat bran, and white flour, so I was really happy to be able to use the whole wheat and the oat bran. And they're nice and moist and fluffy looking. Now let's give it a taste. Okay, for a sugar-free, high protein, whole wheat, I'm gonna give these a 4 out of 5. Obviously, if I'd used real sugar, it'd probably have a little more punch. And I regret not using the entire packet of the pistachio pudding because I think that would have given it a little more flavor, but the recipe doesn't call for any pistachio pudding. It only calls for the chopped up pistachios, which of course I did use, vanilla, and a little almond extract. But I think it actually would have been better if I'd left the almond out maybe. I'm gonna take them to work, hopefully along with the bread pudding, assuming it turns out well. To my office family, hopefully they'll enjoy it. Well, this bread pudding sure looks good, doesn't it? Of course, the proof is in the tasting of the pudding, so we'll see, but it says to let it cool off at least 20 to 30 minutes. And I just took it out of the oven, and it's 9 o'clock at night, so I don't know if I'm gonna get to try it before I go to bed, but certainly looking forward to it. A bit off the top right after I took it out, and that was delicious. But I'm curious to see what the texture is like, and I'm wondering if it might need to cook longer. I have no idea. This outer part sure looks perfect. I'd say that looks just right. Let me try to get in here a little further without getting it too messed up looking for the office. Okay, I'm gonna say it does not need to cook anymore. Let me get some of this in my mouth. Gotta get a blueberry. Oh yeah, that is really good. Considering I Jimmy rigged the recipe, that is delicious. That is a 5 out of 5. Highly recommend. I'll put a link to the recipe down below with some notes on what I did to change it up a little bit and make it a little higher in protein and use up that yogurt I had. That is it for my marathon cooking for the day, you guys. I hope you're all having a fantastic weekend, and I will see you on the next one.